Okay, so we're going to continue our coverage over the X-Men. Here's the thing, because we have to cover two annuals that basically sit down and explain the actual origin to Bastion. Now, this was Marvel kind of realizing that after Operation Zero Tolerance, you had fans wanting to know more about Bastion, like where did he come from? What's his backstory? Like, what can we learn about this character? Because in the actual event for Operation Zero Tolerance, we only got like small clues here and there, but technically that was it. So we had no idea what was his actual origin. Well, when it came to Marvel, they had dropped two annuals to kind of help explain the origin of Bastion. Now, the first annual is Cable and Machine Man, and the second one is Bastion and Machine Man. So Machine Man had two different annuals, but like one's for Cable and one's for his own technically, but he's sharing both annuals with Cable and also Bastion. Kind of weird. But either way, these two annuals kind of gave us the origin to Bastion. But getting into the opening pages for Cable and Machine Man Annual 1998, we do pick up at, well, Prospero Clinic. Now, Prospero Clinic did play a major role back in Operation Zero Tolerance, and let me explain. You see, at first, it did seem to be like this regular clinic. If you were somebody out there in that area that needed some kind of medical assistance, you go there, get your needs taken care of. But in reality, it was not a regular clinic. It was actually a front for Operation Zero Tolerance to get folks to go there and turn those people into prime sentinels to help out Bastion with this goal to wipe out the mutant race. And so for regular people who went there, they had no idea that with each one of their visits, they were slowly being changed into a cyborg, a prime sentinel. Now, back in the Wolverine storyline for Operation Zero Tolerance, well, the X-Men and Wolverine were able to shut the place down, so we thought. But when it comes to S.H.I.E.L.D., when they arrive in the actual building, they find a sub basement. Now, in this sub basement, they find more humans who are technically being turned into prime sentinels. Now, they also find a master mold unit there. And remember, master molds are typically used by different people as a way to help create more and more sentinels. And so this one right here is most likely being used as a way to help create more prime sentinels. And so for S.H.I.E.L.D., they're kind of freaking out here at the moment. Now, while they're trying to contact their boss, G.W. Bridges, we also have to remember around this time in Marvel Comics, Nick Fury was not in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was actually G.W. Bridges. And so when it comes to G.W., while he's trying to communicate with his agents, well, out of nowhere, every single agent in that building gets killed off. And it seems to be by, well, Machine Man. Now, later on in this video, I'll explain more about Machine Man. But I want to go ahead and like shift over to Bastion. And here's the reason why. Because at the end of Operation Zero Tolerance, he was taken away by S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, before that happened, we had got small clues here and there that kind of told us like, hey, listen, guys, there's a possibility that Bastion is not even human. The problem was that we never got confirmation in the actual event. This part right here begins the process of us learning like, yes, he's not a human being at all. Here's your confirmation. This man is not a normal human being, because you had a scientist right now of S.H.I.E.L.D. saying like, when it comes to Bastion, he's not displaying your regular brain waves. It's all binary codes. But on top of that as well, they can't find any real blood inside of Bastion. It's them saying right now, there is a possibility that Bastion is a machine. But now the story shifts over to Cable. Now, around this time in Marvel Comics, you had Marvel trying their best to kind of push Cable away from X-Force, kind of be on his own. Now, we do see Cable he's watching over Cyclops and Jean Grey, because back in Operation Zero Tolerance, when it came to Cyclops, we had discovered that technically there was a bomb placed inside his body by Bastion. Now, Dr. Reyes was able to technically remove remove the bomb out of his body. But for Cyclops, he now needs time to recover. And so for Jean Grey, what she did was she took her and also Cyclops to stay in Alaska with most likely Cyclops' grandparents. And so for Cable, he hates the idea that he's not really able to spend time with Cyclops and also Jean Grey like he really wants to, because he looks at them as his parents. But anyways, for Cable, he's then confronted by S.H.I.E.L.D. And of course, that means Cable now has meeting with G.W. Bridges. Now, when it comes to Cable and G.W. Bridges, they know each other very well because, well, in the past they had worked together, but over time, of course, some bad blood had basically brewed between the two of them. But for G.W. Bridges and Cable, they still have some kind of respect for one another. Now, this is G.W. informing Cable like, hey, listen, so Bastion broke free recently. And you have GW show Cable a video of Bastion, well, breaking free. Except in the video, it's Bastion kind of showing off these different abilities. And for Cable, he's kind of like, listen, the last time I saw Bastion, he didn't have those powers, which means that Bastion is not a regular human being. And technically, Cable is right. Now, for Cable, he believes like, okay, cool, now I know why you called me here for. You want me to chase down Bastion. But for G.W. Bridges, that's not the case at all. And matter of fact, for G.W., he wants Cable to go over to the clinic to figure out what happened to those S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. And so, of course, for Cable, he does agree to go ahead and head over there. Now, at the clinic, we do pick up with Machine Man. Now, it's Machine Man right now downloading some kind of like code into his system. Now, the idea of this code will become very important for later parts of this storyline, but now we have to shift over to Bastion. Because you have Bastion pay a visit over to his mother. Now, when it came to Bastion's mother, she appeared at the very end of Operation Zero Tolerance, but we had no idea who she was. She appeared out of nowhere. We did learn that technically she kind of raised Bastion, but not completely. You see what I mean here later on in this video. But when she does see her son, she's kind of like, Bastion, I knew you were on your way over here because I saw your path of destruction. Now, at the same time, it's her kind of telling him that he can't stay there. Now, we also learned that from Rose, she found Bastion. It wasn't like she gave birth to him. She found him, but not as a child, but a child trapped inside a grown man's body. So she kind of did raise Bastion to a grown man. Now, with that being said, while you do have the two characters having their conversation, well, then out of nowhere, you have these guys appear. Now, I don't know that technically they're part of like the military or police force of the town or some kind of anti-mutant organization. I have no idea. When they see Bastion, they believe that he's a mutant that has to be taken down. Now, for Bastion, he does try to protect himself, which he's able to do. The problem is that his mom ends up getting shot and she dies right there. And of course, for Bastion, he just lost somebody he truly cared for. So he has to find a way to let out that rage. Well, why not go ahead and kill off the humans who are responsible for the death of your mother? Now, when we do shift over to Cable, we see that for Cable, he's trying his best to make his way into the actual clinic. Now, different kinds of traps have been set up inside the clinic, so it's kind of challenging for Cable. But over time, you do have our boy being able to make his way through all the different traps. And once he does get into the main part of the actual facility, that is when he's then confronted by, well, Machine Man. You see, for Machine Man, he first appeared back in 2001, A Space Odyssey, Volume 2, Issue number 8, back in 1977. Now, when it came to Machine Man, he was created by another character known as Dr. Stack. Now, when it came to Dr. Stack, he was part of the U.S. military working on a very special project. That project was to create 51 robotic soldiers. But the thing was, these soldiers were supposed to act like humans. Now, 50 of them went insane. One did not. And of course, that one would be Machine Man. And the reason why, because Dr. Stack took Machine Man home with him and began to work on him. Because for Dr. Stack, he truly did believe in the idea that a robot could act like a human if it's taught how to act like a human and become an actual human. And so when it came time for the US military to shut down the project, well, every single robot was supposed to have this self-destruct sequence. 50 of them did, except for one, and of course being Machine Man. And so when the other 50 blew up, Dr. Stack realized that he could not get rid of the bomb that was placed in Machine Man. And so he told Machine Man to just run as the bomb blew up, killing off Dr. Stack. Now, for Machine Man, he believed on carrying on the dream of Dr. Stack, where humans and not mutants, robots, could live together in harmony. Now, over time, for Machine Man, he was part of the Avengers. I want to say Avengers and also the West Coast Avengers as well. Now, by this point in Marvel timeline, it does seem like he was infected by some kind of virus, a Sentinel virus, which now allows Bastion to technically control him. Now, the first annual is technically being used as a way to re-explain the origin of, well, Machine Man. But it does lead into the second annual, Machine Man or Bastion Machine Man Annual 1998. And that annual will then explain the whole idea of the origin of Bastion. The reason why I'm saying that, because as this particular issue closes, we do see, well, Bastion bond with the Master Mold unit that was inside the actual facility and then turn into Nimrod. Now remember, Nimrod is technically from the future. And so this right here begins the process of a callback to an earlier storyline that we had covered, I want to say almost now 2 years ago, when it comes to our coverage over the X-Men. You see, okay, there was a storyline that took place back in Uncanny X-Men issue number 247. Now, in that storyline, it involved the X-Men of that time to fight against Master Mold and also Nimrod. Now, the battle had technically ended because of the Siege Perilous. Now, the Siege Perilous was this powerful item that had the ability to give you a fresh start somewhere else in the world. Here's the catch, because you may or may not remember everything from your past life. So kind of helping you to kind of give yourself a brand new life somewhere else in the world. Here comes the big catch though, because when it came to the Siege Perilous, Nimrod and Master Mold both went through the actual Siege Perilous. But because when it came to Nimrod and also Master Mold, they were technically machines. But it did kind of bond the two together and gave birth to Bastion, but again, somewhere else in the brand new world. Like I said earlier, when you go through the Siege Perilous, you may or may not remember anything from your past. And so when it came to Bastion, he kind of came out as this machine-human hybrid like being. And so technically he's more machine than human, but also he kind of thinks like a human. But on top of that, he did not remember anything from his past. Now later on, he was then founded by, well, Rose, of course, his mother. And so for Rose, she kind of quotation mark raised him. But over time, he began to kind of build his hatred towards the mutant race, but did not understand why he kind of hated the mutant race. Now, we could technically say the reason why he hates mutants so much because he is the combination of both Master Mold and also Nimrod. But at the same time, we don't actually get confirmation on that. But when it comes to Bastion, over time in his brand new life, he began to hate on the mutant race. And of course, we're going to join different organizations that are also going after the mutant race. Like, for example, Friends of Humanity. Now, with that being said, over time, it all led into Operation Zero Tolerance, and now leads us back over to the present day where he had officially bonded with Master Mold to kind of turn himself into a different version of Nimrod. Now, technically, the story does kind of get wrapped up very quickly here because most of the book is just Cable fighting against Machine Man, who is being controlled by Bastion. Now, for Machine Man, you do have Cable being able to break Machine Man away from the control of Bastion. And so once you have Machine Man go back to being normal again, you then have the two characters begin to work together. Now, while you have Machine Man and Cable work together, for G.W. Bridges, he was technically ordered to blow the entire place up. And so you have a few SHIELD agents right now in Jets to drop some bombs on top of the clinic. But it doesn't happen that way. And the reason why, because of Machine Man. Because Machine Man locks away Bastion into a room where he won't be able to escape, and then turns on the actual clinic's self-destruct sequence to blow the entire place up. Now, yes, there are humans in there who are slowly being turned into, prime sentinels, but they're almost completely gone. So technically at this point, there's no actual reason to save them. And so you have Cable Machine Man get the heck out of there while the entire facility blows up just like that. Now we're kind of left to wonder in the possibility, is Bastion still alive? Now, as we all know in comics, yes, but for right now, for Cable and no, for the rest of the heroes, they're going to believe right now that Bastion is officially dead. And yes, that is the origin to Machine Man, but also mainly the origin for Bastion as well. But with that being said, guys, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.